Mic check. Hello guys and welcome to the pre-event of the AEC Hackathon 2024. We're sorry for the delay, but we should be ready now to present you with this pre-event for the hackathon about computational design in open source business models. So without further ado, I'll just jump right into it. We aim to identify the components that combine to visualize and explain what happens from prototype to technology venture. We think it's important to talk a little bit more about how people becomes able to take their idea from the desk and out in the real life and in the industry. To do this, we are inviting Ryan Hughes from Craft Consulting to tell a little bit about his story. And we are trying not to compress the program too much, but we'll go through some different elements during the pre-event. First and foremost, we have the introduction. I'll skip too much of that. Jump directly into the keynote with Ryan Hughes. And after that, the panel discussion with Rasmus Juhl, Ryan Hughes, Nadja, and Tim, moderated by Laura from PropTech. We have a short workshop and, of course, an award show gimmick for the day. So look forward to that one. It's going to be super fun. I'll jump directly onto the panel here. So Laura, Rasmus, Nadja, Ryan, and Tim. The award show by HD Lab together with Champagnekelleren, who will be providing the prizes. And without further ado, I just want to mention that if anybody of you are participating in the main event, please remember to go to the entrance to get registered before 6 o'clock. And Ryan, if you're ready. Clicker.
Mic test, mic test. Yeah, they were good. Just last time I was up here, I remember I had it really close to my mouth. I think everybody out there could hear me. First of all, sorry for being a few minutes late. Those of you who know me know that that's nothing strange. I'm totally fine. I was just a little bit yeah, a little busy and a little tired during the week, so I pushed some of the last minute slides to today, and yeah, pushed it a little bit too close for comfort. So I was excited to talk to the guys and be invited to speak here today. Um, I guess the idea was that, well, the initial idea was that I'm super happy that we're more and more people that are not like AEC professionals at the hackathon. Damon and the guys are doing like such a fantastic job that we're getting like people from investment companies, software developers, tech professionals, fabricators, like all the people that we were kind of dreaming about having close collaboration with some time back. And the first idea was, well, maybe I could bring those people up to speed on the AEC space. And then we had a good discussion, and we kind of settled in on this idea that, what about my own journey? It's pretty new. I started my company in November, but I've been part of startups before. I've been part of scale-ups. I've been part of corporations. So kind of seen the whole spectrum. And then, I think this is just kind of like a quick introduction. I think it's, if anything, it's a really good way for me to just get a few minutes of time to talk about the company and some of the competencies. But two of my good friends and fantastic researchers that I know, I invited them down, and I think we're going to have a really good discussion later on. But let's not waste any more time. I called the talk "From Concept to Capital: A Guide for AECO Entrepreneurs," and it's basically about ups and downs. It's been exciting. It's been frustrating. It's been challenging, but I've also learned a lot. I learned a lot the first time too, but I probably learned it the hard way. Like, instead of asking for a lawyer and an accountant when you need one, do it at the start. It's just like 101. That's the best advice I can give. Just like, I set myself up with all the learnings from the last time. And this time around, I had to look around at like all the resources that are out there, because there is actually quite a lot, especially in Copenhagen. We're quite lucky if you're interested in starting something, especially in sustainability, PropTech space. Then you have BlocksHub, you have PropTech Denmark, you have even through your A-Kasse. If for any of you guys who are from Denmark, you might have some kind of resources you don't know about. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that. So basically, probably won't need to give you guys much of a market overview, because everybody, that's why we're here, right? It's exploding, and it has been, and it's not slowing down. I'll talk a little bit about what I do and how I started it. The support and resources, I haven't like listed them all because they're all pretty recognizable, so I'd rather just talk about them. And then if we have time, we'll take some questions, but otherwise I think we can pick it up in the panel. So I found this quote that kind of sums it up. It's from Francisco Maranchello. He's the CEO of Everse. He said that it's great to see more and more startups created in the AEC space, along with VCs that are starting to focus specifically on this industry. It's already happened in other industries and is long overdue for ours. And I think, I think this is to the credit of some of the VCs. And like I say, again, being in Copenhagen, I think we're especially lucky because we have people who are very forward thinking. The AEC game is not a quick ROI, generally speaking. You need to really believe in the startup, in the venture, and you need to be able to take people who are, in essence, not really educated to come out and start. product or platform-based companies, right? Like at least I'm an architect. Although after a year, I probably thought I should study like computational science, computational science or actuarial science or something like that, physics. But yeah, I studied with really, really talented people who were all super passionate about one thing or another. The only thing is that when we came out, it was like, well, we can go into basically the service industry, like sell hours for money. And I think that, yeah, there's, as has been shown with so many of the successful companies as of late, that taking all of our knowledge, all of the kind of creative power of our discipline, combining it with a little bit of tech, basically like look back 10 years ago, take a concept or a piece of technology from computer science or from math or from, let's say, supply chain and operations, combine it with a problem in the building industry, and boom, you've solved something huge. So it's not always like the biggest jump conceptually, but I think it's really about like the coming together of an investor and idle TV, an investor and a group of people who have an idea. This is a little bit outdated, but at least it's not the Paulson, what's it called, the Paulson-McLeamy curve. I used to have a bet with some of my friends, like it was going to be in the first third or the last third we were going to see that McLeamy curve. But it's basically like, yeah, it just continues and continues. Money is flooding into the AEC industry, and yeah, the number of deals, yeah, including kind of buyouts, managements, buy-ins, secondary buyouts, it's just increasing year on year. And this is where I think, yeah, this is where the magic happens, right? Like it's not just the innovators, it's not just companies with money who kind of put it behind just any old case, but it's really like the intersection of two groups of people who view things maybe a little bit differently than the rest of their peers. So I just I tried to kind of, oh, it's very difficult to see for, is it my screen brightness? No. Yeah, I'll have to read this one out then. I'm not going to read it all, don't worry, we'll all fall asleep. But basically, I said, like, AEC innovators refer to individuals, companies, or entities that introduce novel ideas, technologies, or methodologies within the AEC industry. They use innovative technologies, they use sustainable practices, they improve kind of incrementally on processes, and then they develop software and applications, which is probably what most of us are here for this weekend, right? And lastly, I think something that's quite important, and there's some institutions that are particularly good at it, but academics and researchers who contribute to the advancement of the industry through research, through development of new theories, education of future professionals. And yeah, basically, I think, you know, all of the stuff that's been spun out of places like ECD, out of CETA, like all of these institutions, I think a lot of it has got to do with the kind of education aspect and people coming out with like almost kind of, instead of evolution, they want revolution. They don't want to just like incrementally change the industry, but they want to turn it upside down. And those, I think, are some of the startups that really thrive and survive. On the other hand, we have the VCs. I think, yeah, I would consider a forward-thinking VC, one who not only seeks out promising startups and companies to invest in, but also has a vision that extends beyond current trends. They intend to invest in startups that are developing cutting-edge technologies or innovative business models, and they have a knack for identifying potential in areas that others might overlook. They have this long-term perspective I was speaking about, so they're willing to support startups throughout the various stages of growth, understanding that some of them may take time to mature. Unfortunately, it's not like a piece of furniture or product. It takes a few years to build a building, so if you have some like really innovative tech, you need to kind of stick with them for a while to really see this thing through. The commitment to impact, I think, is really important. They prioritize companies that aim to address like significant social, environmental, or economic challenges. We also see that in the AEC Hackathon here, like quite often. There's some really interesting projects that then end up winning, where we have, like a tool for, I remember, is it my time warning? Yeah. For example, like it doesn't have to be about actual construction, but it can be tools to do with urban design. I remember one year there was a fantastic project about finding like the safest way home for people at night, and it's like this A** dice algorithm that we all use for like interior design and layouts. It's like, oh, you just flip it on its head, think of a new application, and you've got something super valuable that makes an impact. So a little bit on our story, my story. Changed over the numbers fluctuated over time. Basically, I specialize in computational geometry, so probably don't need to tell a lot of you guys what that is, but we research and specialize in the development of bespoke solutions to complex geometric problems. And yeah, inside in this, I will also include like optimization problems. Software engineering, I've been lucky that against the wishes of some of my tutors back in Dublin, I started coding like quite early. They were like, could not see the link between this and architecture at all. When I moved to Denmark, things were a little bit different. And yeah, nowadays it's like, we have this really great interdisciplinary collaboration, and even some specialist programs. Like I know some of the construction tech master's programs where they're really focusing on bringing computer scientists and architects together. So basically they get kind of like co-educated, teach each other and stuff like that. Really focused on like connected systems, so integrating things like sensors and IoT devices into cyber-physical systems. I say both for, but it's probably more on the kind of supply chain management side. Again, if you look back into the archive of some of the projects here from the hackathon, you'll see some really good examples. Like, how do you know where something is in a building site at any time? Like, how do you optimize the delivery of material to site? Because as soon as digital becomes physical, there's a economic kind of cost, and it becomes like, it weighs usually a lot. And if you put it in the wrong place, it can be very expensive to move it around. So really simple solutions can avoid huge problems here. Funnily enough, probably where I started off, robotic fabrication. So yeah, I've been joking with a few friends lately, like, it's like, I always say we were the second company to have a robotic fabrication parametric control tool. It's not really like it's not really the coolest thing to say. It's like we're the second person to have. But in hindsight now, given how many of them there are, it is kind of cool, I think. So yeah, I'm really passionate about robotic fabrication. But now I've been really lucky to work with some partners on a truly industrial scale. So we're actually developing a platform that integrates, Hundegger machines, CNC machines, industrial robots, kind of modularly put together like a full scope factory on one platform. like really believe in like kind of augmented creativity. Maybe this is something that Tim and Nadia can kind of speak to, but this idea that you can't just bring an iPad to a building site and expect change. It's a socio-technical process, so it involves people and technical processes. And I think, probably over the weekend we're going to see some really, really good tech. But I think that some of the stuff that can really hit home is like when you hit on something where you use technology to solve a real person's issue, like something that affects the day-to-day work of someone on that site, and that can like working with them as early in the process that can create a really good outcome. Just to put some quick numbers, I rounded these figures within 2% so that they'd look nice, because I'm kind of like that. I need things to be kind of smooth. And they're based on some recent collaborations with 3 different companies, not 3 different pillars, like figures here, but just generally what I see. That if you start to look at the design and material cost optimizations, you can easily get like 30% off almost any process. It's like if you know what you're doing and you bring in the right group of people, you can start to save material and design costs straight away. I learned that about 90% of projects that are supposed to be digitally produced are actually manually redrawn. So yeah, this idea of level of detail, 400 or 500 models, something is not quite right there. There's still something between there and producing it that we have to get right. I'm working on it, but I think other people could also deep dive a little in here. And yeah, basically, if something I've become particularly passionate about recently, and again, just like throwing ideas out there, might encourage people to look into the supply chain, because the amount of time that can be saved by, obviously we all know like prefabrication, but also literally just like once something has been produced and put on a pallet or a massive truck, depending on the size of your blanks, bringing that material to the site at the right time is like hugely expensive if you get that wrong. And it's something that I think people have just been relying on, like that one guy or girl in the company who knows how to do it right, and then for some reason or whatever they leave, and they're just left with basically they just kind of go off an Excel sheet, and that's totally fine. It's what people have to do, but I mean, again, like huge potential for technology there. To avoid speaking too long, you can find us at graphconsult.xyz. Still missing a few things, case studies and services, but it's been a busy few weeks, so expect some more up there soon. And the support and resources, I have a few minutes left, and I think this is like pretty much the most important thing. So if you are if you're thinking about starting a startup, first of all, if you're a member of an AEC, a lot of them have startup programs. So I went through, I used my AEC to basically it's called bibeskæftigelse in Danish. It's like they support every hour that you're not working on your company during a week. So when things are slow at the start, it's not much money, but you get something. So it's not like jumping out there into the darkness with like zero. If you don't have the capital, you can actually do it. There's, like I said, have a look around. Here, there's like a lot of initiatives that are like really, really great. There's like PropTech, where they do like matching programs where they match different companies, different partners who could work well together. There is, there's incubators. So, for example, Academica's ACASA, they have like a startup basics and a startup growth package. So even if you are an established startup, you can also go into these programs for like 3 or 6 months. And they have like lawyers, they have, everything that you usually incur cost, they just have them, or they have access to them, so they can help you to nail down your contracts, nail down like your price points, all this sort of stuff. So I like I said, I don't have a list over all of them, but just have a look around, or I'll come to me over the weekend and I'll try and get that done in time. I'm pretty much out of time now, but if anyone has any questions, please contact me. I'm more than happy to answer something specific, or more than happy to take a coffee and chat to anyone who's thinking about going out on their own. I think I knew there was a lot of stuff that I couldn't get into slides because there's no picture out there that really fits it. Putting like shitloads of text on it is not the way around it. But my plan is to basically hang around for the weekend, and on the back of this, if anyone has any questions, then please just come and find me. Cool.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. Nice to have you here on BlogsHub. And guys, please make sure to connect and find Ryan online. Reach out. It's very valuable knowledge that Ryan brings today. It's so important that we dare speaking about all of these small doubts when starting up a startup company or whatever you want to do. It's super important to exchange those different informations. So next up, we have the panel debate coming along. And Ryan, you will take a seat in the panel yourself. Aside of you, Nadia will join you. If you come up to us, Nadia, from KADK. And we have Rasmus. I don't want to speak about all of the companies you're involved with, but seasoned board member and director of boards as well. So welcome, Rasmus. Tim Merritt from Aalborg University. Please have a seat, guys. And to moderate the debate, I'll hand over the microphone to Laura Katzensteiner from PropTech.
Thank you. I'm just going to place my water over here. I think we have a second handheld microphone, and we'll try to make it work like that. But while we figure that out, maybe just very briefly, I'd love to know who's in the audience. Maybe just show of hands, who here is going to be a hacker this weekend? All right. All right. Welcome. Very exciting. I look forward to hearing what you're going to come up with this weekend. And who here considers themselves an AEC professional? All right. Who here is a founder or an entrepreneur? Nice. Any academics? Well, they're here on the panel. So on that side, we have some academics. And any students? All right. So a very interdisciplinary group in the audience as well, which is super exciting. That really resonated with me, what Ryan said before about interdisciplinary collaboration. So on the panel, we're going to talk a little bit about insights from the field of AEC. I'm going to let the four panelists tell you all about that. And then we'll try to have 10 minutes for questions as well. So think of some questions along the way. And then I hope we can get a nice debate going. As a first question, I've created a bit of a challenge for the panelists. I've asked them to sum up what's new in AEC in 1 minute from their perspective. And also you can use that minute to introduce yourself. So I'll kick it off with Nadia, maybe. Or I can
Thank you. Hi everyone, so I'm Nadia. I work at the Royal Danish Academy. I specialize in two things: the environmental impact of digital fabrication, and the other one, how does the structuration of information about software allows the softwares to get adopted or not in the industry. What's new in the AEC industry is super tough because most of it is not new and we're still struggling to implement it. Fortunately, I have very smart students at the academy that answered the question for me. it's digital material banks. So material banks are very much not new. They're here since the Roman Empire. But digitizing them, I think, is the key to a lot of the social, ecological, and technical challenges we're facing. So I think this is where we should look at.
Okay, digitizing material banks. All right, Rasmus.
Thank you. Yes, so Rasmus Juhl Nyholm. I am an entrepreneur in the space of real estate technology and sustainability, and I've been an active founder or investor in around 15 companies in that space over the last 20 years. I'm also a founder of PropTech Denmark and the president. And then right now I'm spend most of my time developing a company called Home.Earth, which is a real estate impact company developing residential buildings, super sustainable residential buildings that are very affordable. So, and in that we work a lot with automation, both in the construction process, so building in a different way, but we also use a lot of technology in the development process. So that's one of the things I'm going to comment on. So what's new? I mean, there's a lot of new things. I think that a key thing is that the focus on non-financial parameters is starting to really have effect in the real estate industry. I'm not saying that they overrule the financial performance. That's still, it comes down to money, but it's not only money. So that's a key thing. And then I think on the technology side, we start really to see tools, electronic tools that help you get to the right solution faster. And can also help you discover new possibilities that you would otherwise not discover.
All right, great. Thanks, Rasmus.
Thank you.
Tim?
Yep, Tim Merritt. I'm at Aalborg University. I'm an associate professor there in the Human-Centered Computing Group. My research focuses on AI, so I look at how we can make complex systems support people in complex activities and do more. Lately, the focus has been on drones. So I do multi-drone systems where we use many drones to find missing people. We work with Beredskabsstyrelsen, if you know the emergency management agency in Denmark. But when you think about flying many drones, it's very difficult. So we design interfaces that help one operator manage many drones at once. So taking that very complex situation and making it possible. So if I think about the industry, I think the maybe something that couldn't be overstated is the rise of AI. Recently, so many tools have AI embedded in them. For a long time we've had automation and algorithms that help us do a lot more faster. And I think, as Rasmus mentioned, it's allowing us to quickly see a lot of options more quickly and very extensive, even data-driven options that then a person can take action on or can design further. So I don't necessarily think that creativity is going to be taken over, but it is a very good tool. So.
I get a few extra free seconds here because I don't have to reintroduce myself. I think I agree with what all of the last three guys have said. I think at the start of this whole new push towards digitization in the building industry, we had to work in verticals because it's just such a massive space. There's so many different problems. And I think, especially now with the power of generative AI, with home builders such as Home.Earth who are starting to kind of embrace some of the value that can be computed or kind of designed in, that aren't just about kind of square meters over cost, but it's about the quality of the space. I think the major advancement in that and all of that is that we've started to cut slices across, to go fully from the early stage of the value chain all the way to delivery. So that means people like developers and municipalities can start to use some of this emerging tech to identify better sites and opportunities. We can cut down on design time or generate more options so that and more kind of analytics on those options. And then we're starting to see greater integration with the people who are producing and assembling it. So yeah, basically we're tying it all up into a nice little package. And I think, in different ways, with different goals, those horizontal slices are incredibly powerful. So, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And there was a lot already here, like AI, and if I can kind of sum up, Ryan, maybe like breaking silos in a way and working across, and then also like non-financial measurement and digitizing material banks. Perhaps it would be worthwhile just to make it super practical. Like, since we have quite a few hackers in the room, what is an opportunity that you think, as a hacker, this is something you absolutely think somebody should be working on this weekend? Like, is it, you know, okay, you've said AI, for example, Tim, but AI, right? We can tell, I mean, generative, predictive, like, is there a specific application, for example, that you could see within AEC that is relevant? Or Rasmus, like, when we talk about non-financial measurement, like, what are the opportunities that you really see that you think need to be explored more?
Yeah.
Since you're Mike, I'll let you start.
I just, to make it more specific, I can give some very, very specific examples from Home.Earth. So basically, developing a piece of real estate from greenfield today is a task that is so complex that I actually don't believe that the human mind is capable of doing it, of optimizing that solution. I mean, we have been doing it for years. We've been constructing since the Stone Ages, or well, maybe not the Stone, but close to. But it has never been optimal, and it's still not. It still isn't. But we've just accepted that it's not optimal. But with the tools that are becoming available now, we can start optimizing these things. So very specific examples: volume studies. When you have a piece of land and you have to find out how do I build the optimal building on this plot. Dependent on all the prerequisites that I have, how many square meters, the height, the unit mix, the wind, the sun, the noise, all these things. That's a task that no architect can actually, in reality, optimize. They can make a pretty good bet. But if you ask 3 architects, they will come up with different solutions, of course, because it's so complex. There we have software now that can do this and that can calculate hundreds of thousands of combinations of the best volume mix. So that's an example. Another example is the energy system. In Home.Earth, we've just founded, just this week, a spin-off, a technology spin-off. It's not like really official yet, so don't tell anyone. But that's because we made a piece of technology that can help you likewise calculate what is the optimal energy solution on a given piece of real estate. And that sounds like a simple solution, but it's only simple because you always start by, well, we have district heating, so then we use district heating. Or you put on solar cells because you like solar cells. But what is the optimal mix of these things? It's a multi-parameter combination things that's also highly influenced by regulation. It's very, very complex. So that's another area where technology can really help find the right solutions, and they don't need to solve it. And I think that's an important thing for you guys, the tech guys, because I'm not very technical. You don't need to make solutions that take you all the way to the final solution. There will normally need some engineers at some point that needs to, or architects that needs to go in and refine the solution. But finding the right path and taking you 70 or 80% in the right direction is way enough, and then let some humans do the last part of it. So that's an example. So specifically on the challenges from PropTech Denmark, we put out a challenge which is about the non-financial data, this real ESG initiative. And the reason that we did that, and the reason we're encouraged to look at it, is because the way that we manage, the ease of management of non-financial data is going to shape the industry for the next years. Because it's so easy when you only do money, it's like it's one unit. Just one unit. Everything comes down to one single unit that is, well, it can have different currencies, but they're just the same anyway. But when you start having all these non-financial units, they are not translatable in between each other. And you have to trade between them and find a way through that. So getting very, very easy access to manage these non-financial data, that's going to be a huge challenge for the industry over the next years.
Excellent. Thanks, Rasmus. And I think there was also a great kind of piece of advice somewhere in there, which is that even if some of the challenges that were set out this week seem really huge, it's really about making a start, and not, you don't have to, you know, get all the way there, because it's just a weekend, right? But the start is the most important part, I'd say, at least. I'll hand it back.
Yeah, so there are a lot of things to think about there. I wanted to tie into maybe one thing that Rasmus mentioned about, you know, getting it part of the way there, and then, you know, you then need to bring or get investors or bring it to a company or build your own company. And I'm kind of amazed about how much there is here in Denmark. So I'm coming from the academic side. A lot of the grants that we might apply for require businesses to be involved. And then, so for example, Innovation Fund Denmark, they support a lot of initiatives. So they require that we do academic work, but we also involve companies. And so if you haven't looked at that, that's a good avenue to consider. And then reach out to any academic department. Would love to hear from you. On the other hand, there's also, from the business side, we in Denmark there's this thing called business house. I don't know what that is called.
Erhvervshus.
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 So does everybody know about that? Has anyone not heard of that? It's apparently there's 1 or 6 of them, one for each of the regions, and they basically are tasked to help businesses find funding, navigate that field. It's also helpful for us from the academic side. There are some grants that we might apply for, and legally Innovation Fund Denmark can tell you, oh, this is how you should apply for it, these are the keywords, this is the kind of budgets. But then the business houses can give you the real experience. They can tell you, well, this is probably how risky the project should be, this is how many partners you should involve, and so on. I think that's so valuable. So Denmark has a lot of different funding sources and ways to stimulate business. I think it's difficult when you consider, in the AEC industry, you have projects that you might innovate, but then how do you achieve mass adoption, or how do you get those ideas into a business that then takes off and is picked up? So a colleague, he has a startup called Cedar Heat, and they have an AI technology that will manage heat pumps. Very simple, and then it's quite amazing what it can do, but now they need to figure out how do they get that into the market. There's so many makers of heat pumps. There's also companies, for example, that develop real estate, so they need to navigate that. I'd be curious if, I think that's an interesting area to develop further.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I must admit that the workshop will also be like semi-freestyled. Like I have some ideas, but I wanted to kind of ask some of you guys exactly where we want to go with it. But regarding the specific format of a hackathon, like I've done them a few times, and I think every single time we took a different approach. And I mean, that's normal with the teams of people. But I think, yes, like getting like the core of an idea boiled down into something that like has, let's say, there's some tools we can show in the workshop, like the business model canvas, the value proposition, like how you can create this, but like boiling it down to kind of the elevator pitch, figuring out which are the really sensitive pieces of the tech that you need to kind of somewhat prove, maybe trying to visualize the applications of it so that it's not just like if you can read code, you realize that these guys have done something fantastic, but that other stakeholders, like for example, energy providers, they can see, whoa, there's really something here. I think it touches on what we were talking about, like, I'm gonna do them injustice by getting their name wrong.
Well, I think
Elgo Labs. No, do you know this?
No,
there's a startup. They basically optimize energy use in buildings, like large commercial premises, and also like with municipalities. And it's like, how can you kind of hack together a quick solution that shows the promise of something, and then present it in such a way that you kind of describe, like, okay, who are the people that might be interested in taking this on board, or how could it be paired with some other existing technology? Because I think
Our time is running pretty fast. So
Yeah,
sorry
it's
for
just hard to
interrupting.
get.
Just wanna make
It's
sure
hard to
we-
do everything in a weekend. But if you have a really good idea and you strip away all of the non-important stuff, you can really show what you can.
Excellent. So maybe let's do one last quick fire round. So you've kind of already started it, Ryan, by giving some advice for specifically a hackathon. So I'd like to invite the other three of you, like Nadia. Let's start with you. Specific, I don't know if you've ever done a hackathon, so I might be putting you on the spot here, but do you have any specific advice for the people in the room that are going to be hackers this weekend?
Yeah, I have one which actually ties to what was just said. I think there is a lot about the technical and business issues you want to solve, but there's also what your users are going to do with it. And I think like sketching how a user is interacting with what you have in mind is super key. An example on what we were discussing about energy, there's that amazing project that's called Cinder that was made in the UK by a company called Umbralium. Cinder is basically a system. They were given a project of a high school, and they wanted the kids to understand that the building was trying to be zero net energy, and to figure out how you can have the kids understand it. And so they had screens with a digital cat that was the mascot of the school, and the students could only feed Cinder the cat if the building had zero net consumption.
Hoping it was not a real
levels.
cat, right?
No, it was like, it's like
Okay.
this is the nice thing, kind of wanders around all the screens in the school, and the kids could play with it. But if the building was consuming too much energy, they could not play with it, they could not feed it because they had no resources, which means they would directly understand that whatever they would do in the building, leaving the lights on or whatever, would have an impact on this, which is amazingly well tailored to
This is
the
giving me
users.
Tamagotchi trauma. Like, you know, like, I don't know if you remember that.
They've made, like, Umbralium is an amazing group of architects. They've made a ton of other projects in that energy issue. But I think it's equally as important figuring out how users interact with the system than what is actually happening in the system. So my advice would be to not forget that part.
Absolutely. Rasmus, any last piece of advice?
Yeah, I can hear also from the talk that there's some interest in this about starting a business, a technology-driven business or startup, and I have some very specific advice on that. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of people doing this over the last 20 years, and I have two main pitfalls I want to share with you. The first one is don't make a solution that doesn't have a problem. I see that a lot. And it's not necessarily fair because there might be a problem. The problem is just that it's not recognized from the clients. So if you have a good idea, before you spend too much time on it, you have to test it, like really test it with someone that knows more than you about the deployment of your solution. So if it's like I said, something with energy, go to a real estate owner. If they want to spend time with you and your solution and test it, that's the first good step. If they don't want to do that, forget it, drop it, go away, do something else. If you can't even get their time, if you can get their money for a pilot, then we start talking about something that might have real value. So do those tests very early, and if you then see that this is actually has interest, then do spend time on finding out who else is solving this problem. Because we see with technology that whenever you find a new type of solution, it's a category. It translates into a software solution category, or it doesn't need to be software. It can also be like hardware or IoT stuff. But find out what is your market and who else is active in this. There might be someone in Germany or Sweden that actually are way ahead of you. So don't recognize that too late. And the other like really important pitfall, I've seen so many startups being killed by their first investors. Be super, super careful about the investors you take in the beginning. You have to have strong investors that knows the market or has some knowledge that you don't have and money, and they have to have money not only for the first round, but to take you quite far.
All right.
That's like really, really important. And the last thing about the public sector, you also have to decide what lake you're swimming in, because there are a lot of possibilities supported by the public sector in Denmark. I've never been a fan of it. I've always been purely in the private sector. But it's like fish, you know, either you're a saltwater fish or you're a sweetwater fish. It's both fish and it's fine, but you have to decide in what lake you swim. I mean, do you go the commercial way with private investors, or do you maneuver in this semi-public, semi-private space that's supported by universities and so on? It's not the same, it's two different games.
All right, I'm gonna have to cut it here because I want to make sure we have time for some questions, and we're on our last 5 minutes. So I want to just briefly, first of all, thank you so much. I think there's been some really great advice for when you want to start a panel, for different areas to look at, what's new. So first of all, let's give the panel a great big hand. And then, is there anybody in the audience that has a question? Now it's your chance, heckle them. Yeah, I'm gonna give my mic over, and then do you want to just introduce yourself and ask your question?
Hi, I'm Max Sedagert. I'm a founder of a AEC startup called Setopon. But I had a question to you there. Sorry, I don't remember. Rasmus, yes, exactly. Yeah, so you mentioned about optimizing the multi-parameter things about these buildings. Do you think there's a risk involved if we start optimizing things that we optimize only the things that we can optimize and we forget all the things that we just can't optimize at the moment? That we over-focus on those things that can be optimized.
I think you have something more specific in mind. It sounds like
no, not really, but just like in general.
No, I mean it's all very complex. So you cannot optimize everything in one solution. So like what we are doing is that we use now it has changed names. So we use SpaceMaker for volume studies, and then we take the volume study and we put it into a tool that we have developed to optimize the mix of materials because there was no tool for that. And then we have another tool to optimize rent. So we pass our developments through like a chain of different solutions, and over time there will probably someone will integrate it all, but that takes time. So I think it's okay to you have to focus on something and where you can actually come up with a good solution. Don't try to do everything for everyone. That's too complex.
Excellent. Any other questions from the audience?
Can I just add to that for 1 second? I think I would refer to them as like hard parameters and soft parameters, right? Hard parameters come with the benefit that usually they're measured in a unit or a quantity, square meters, cubic meters, whatever, or lux or whatever it may be. And soft parameters, they're sometimes very difficult to quantify, but there are methods out there, I think, that again, it's you have to do the hard work of digging through the research and so on, or talking to people who are like that, there are institutions who are working on it. And I think they're making some good progress, but it comes with like a reverse cost. The soft parameters, you have to put in the cost initially, but once you find the research, you can quantify it. The hard parameters, they're quite often geographically constrained, and this is really tricky. For example, storage. In Germany, they measure it as a unit of storage, which is, they go into a bit more detail, but here we measure it in cubic meters. And so developing your tech platform is do you write 50 different switch cases or, Whereas the soft stuff tends to be borderless, but you need to dig a bit harder for it to get something.
Excellent. Do we have time for one last question? We're getting a nod. All right. Two more? Oh, 2 more. Okay. Now the pressure is really on you guys, right? You're being very shy. Excellent. All right.
Probably also to Rasmus. But I'm just wondering how to convince investors to invest in AEC startups. As Ryan mentioned, it tends to have a long ROI. So any suggestion on how, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here with talking about investments before we solve the problem, but maybe you have any suggestions on how to approach it?
No, I think it's a super relevant question because of course it's a tough one. I think it comes down to having a network. You have to be able to reach someone that has the problem you can solve. That's really the question. And how can you do that, especially if you are in an academic environment? Can you, through some professors or some activities, expose your solution and get hold of someone that can actually validate it and test it and might be an investor or put you in contact with an investor? I can't say much better. I think you have to, but you have to do it early. That's basically also my point. So ask around, go to, so like if it's, I mean, PropTech Denmark might be a platform, you know, to get to contact someone with a solution, or other industry, go to fairs, big fairs in all industries. They have fairs where you can go and you can hang out, or you can expose, or you can somehow reach out. Industry organizations is also a possibility, but of course it's super tough. Just don't wait and waste your time on the wrong thing.
But you're at a hackathon, which is full of people and networking, so it's already a great start, right? All right, last question. All right, a repeat question asker, guys.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, it's again for Rasmus. So you mentioned about looking in the future that the main challenge for the AEC industry will be the non-financial data. Can you tell us a little bit more about it? Like what do you see in this field, and what kind of opportunities could be there for new startups like this?
Yeah. The non-financial data is going to define the economic return in real estate over the next years. It's like very simple. And it's the biggest asset class in the world, real estate. And a building, the value of a building is going to be defined by how it performs. Of course, like rental income is where the money comes from and so on. But the value of the property is increasingly defined by its planetary, or you could say the environmental performance, and then little by little more and more the social performance also, what it does, how it plays into the environment that it is in. But the very simple one is like energy. Just take energy. I mean, the energy consumption is, and the planetary footprint of the building, it defines what tenants you can get and what it costs to be a tenant. The money, if you can save energy, cost to energy for a tenant, you can increase the rent, and that you can multiply by 30 every crown that you save. And so it's like huge amounts of money that is influenced by the non-financial performance in the non-financial data. Was that an answer? Sorry. Yeah.
All right.
So it is in the end, it comes down to money, but it's the other data that defines the value of your asset.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. Then I guess we close it here and thank.
The same line of questioning. Are there any examples of, like you said, social metrics are now developing? Any examples of the kind of, because we know planetary metrics the most familiar.
I'm just going to repeat the question because if anybody's listening online, they might not understand. So it was a follow-up question around if there's any specific examples for measurements such as for social, non-financial measurements.
Yeah, there's some relates to the companies. So there's like governance, like so who's on the board, as an example. How do you say that? Male, female division on the board, and so on. But what we see, for example, as a metric could be the number of evictions. So how many evictions do you have in a real estate company, as an example? So you also have, of course, one of the key ones is the affordability. So where are you on the cost side? And there's a number of other examples if you look into the data set on the real ESG. There's a bit more on that.
Last one.
Yeah. I think maybe this is a little bit left field of response, but I mean, there's also kind of, macroeconomic data about like the trends. Obviously, some things can be forecast, and I guess what's valuable in one context, it doesn't move geographically, but everything around it moves, and therefore, something now and something in 5 and 10 years can be quite different. And I think that there's also kind of parameters that are not about the building, but about the area around it, right? Like, so there's, and given that we're again at a hackathon, like OpenStreetMaps, being able to like query routes, distances, connectivities to amenities. These are all parameters that, inherently increase the value of something. But they are things that can be approached from a technical perspective. So they might not be simulations per se, but there are things that you can compute. That, yeah, again, goes back to there's no predefined law or unit for it, but I think everyone understands that if it's accessible by public transport, it's better, right? No.
Okay, guys. So to change an industry and to change your startup journey, it's incredibly important to surround yourself with people who is like-minded and even more intelligent than yourself. That's why I'm very happy to see you guys here today. Thank you to Laura and the panel. Please give them a hand. Guys, let's take 5 minutes break, get some coffee, please network, say hello to the panelists, and we'll get back to the workshop by Ryan. Thank you. check, 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 check. Let's jump back into it, guys. Okay. We're going to continue today's program with the workshop by Ryan Hughes. Crafting your own AEC. No, it's Kan du give mig lidt lyd her? Okay, we'll jump back into the program with the workshop by Ryan Hughes. Crafting your AECO startup strategy. Guys, please join us. Of course, casually, you're also welcome to network and get some new friends. It's also completely fine. But let's get to it, Ryan. And this is your spot. We're going to speak a little bit with Ryan about how do you decide on a startup strategy. So we have been speaking about the parameters that is very important to get a little bit control of before you go into the actual startup of your business. But let's dig a little further into that and speak about what components combine to visualize what happens from prototype to venture. Ryan, I want to give the microphone to you.
I need to plug in the HDMI. Oh, shit.
So while Ryan is getting ready with everything set up here, I will just quickly mention to you, those of you who might find it interesting, that throughout the weekend we will have angel investors popping up and sneaking into your processes and techs. And maybe if you have the luck to find some interest, you will have a very important, maybe for you, conversation throughout the hackathon with somebody who has some interest in your technology. So that is just a little bonus information that people with the right intentions and the right capabilities will be around to scout and look at your technologies.
Okay. Oh, this is going to be really tricky. I'm going to have to like funny, I had a stand of some sort. Okay, so basically, I just wanted to. I mean, it's a little bit. It's a little bit tricky to come up with. I've never run this this workshop before, but so bear with me from that perspective. And I probably should have had all these tabs ready to go, but OSArch.org. Oh yeah, that's much better. Test. Whoa. Do I have the control of the volume? Or? No. I got it there. All right. Okay. So like I said, we have a little bit of time. I have a few tools and a few things that I came across, especially like in the last 6 months, that I thought might be of interest. I don't have it with me today, and a lot of people, they probably already know it, but I've over the last 2 years been part of a number of teams, and we've implemented kind of this like agile sprint methodology, which is something that I found. Oh, now my phone is vibrating underneath this. 2 seconds. So a lot of the ideas kind of come from this, and then I thought what we could do is to maybe go through like 1 or 2 of the key kind of resources that are out there that you can use to do some of the things that we were speaking about. So Nadia was talking about speaking to your users first and kind of working backwards, and Rasmus was saying that there's no point in making a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. So basically I've set up a few templates and that I will just basically like go through with you guys, like things that I found useful. Maybe you've seen some of them before. And then I want to introduce this open source ARC community, and I don't know if many people have heard of this before, just 1 or 2, but it's I think this is really cool. Basically I just came across it like about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. It's an open source architecture community. There's a few cool people that are running it, and at first I wasn't entirely sure if it was very, very active, but I got into it a little bit more, and I think that there's a huge amount of information here that can be very, very useful. So, for example, there's a free software directory. So it like by category you have an introduction here, but for schematic design, some of the ones you'll know probably by default: Blender, TL Draw, which is like if you look at Miro and stuff like that, and then you look at TL Draw, this is basically like a kind of an open source library for React that allows you to do multi-person collaboration on a canvas, and you can kind of hack it to do some 3D stuff too, which is interesting. There is some GIS and urban tools. So again, I don't know, Blender GIS add-on. OpenStreetMaps, like I spoke about earlier, this is like a place where you can get information on, it's basically like Google Maps, but you can download basically like a section of the card. I think the free version, there's like a certain radius or something like that, like if you go export and you select a certain area that you want. So I can move this here. You can export it and what you'll get is basically like a package with a vector form of all of the building outlines, all of the amenities. Some of them will be as points. If there's public transport and stuff, you'll get that there. That's like really, really, really cool. Go all the way down here. There's visualization, documentation tools. Didn't look too much into those. F3D, which is really cool. This is like a very powerful 3D viewer that's like basically like ready to go out of the box. And as far as I know, the license is, BS3. This is something I wanted to come back to at some point as well, is just to talk a little bit about licenses, to be a bit careful about the sort of software that you choose. Because if you pick something with the wrong license, you might find yourself in a position that you've built something and now you actually you're obliged to open source all of your code because you use like one piece of software in there. I wanted to show some stuff that was down here that I found really interesting that was more on the engineering side of things. So see like the compass from ETH, if I'm not mistaken, Pura Happel's object model, FreeCAD. There's just like tons of stuff here. And then, yeah, getting down to the energy. Okay, probably it's split out into one or two. No, actually, you know what? It's a whole other. I was pretty sure that there was a whole engineering section to this. Yeah, but in any case, there's just like, as you can see, like tons of information here. So some of it's probably a little bit dated, some of it's more up to date. But these are like just modules you could take and start your project from if needs be. Let's find some of the more interesting stuff. Yeah, I really wanted to show the engineering things, so if I could find. Okay, it's not exactly allowing me to go back and just find all the engineering stuff very easily. But in any case, this is just like one of the. This is basically like a repository that I wanted people to be aware of, because I think, you know, depending on what your group decides to do, you might be wondering if you have to like reinvent the wheel, and it might be just lying here for you to ready to use. So the other thing I mentioned was licenses, and it's just something to keep in mind. But I think it's something as simple as this. I think it's called like what license? Yeah, choosingalicense.com. I think when you're, I mean, we mentioned kind of open source startups here. I don't think that, every startup has to be open source. Otherwise, it's kind of tricky to build an economic model that works very well. Although Speckle and some of those guys have been very, very successful. But this is a place you can come to where you can kind of work backwards. So you decide what you need to do. For example, I care about sharing improvements. So then it says, okay, this GNU GPL3, it allows you to do almost anything they want except distribute closed source versions. So for example, if you're passionate about whatever you develop here over the weekend, like staying open source, then this is something that you can publish with it. And then people who use it would be obliged to kind of like pass on the ability for other people to use what they make in another open source version. There's even things like the unlicensed, which is just like, just do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. So I don't know why you would, then it would just, actually there is a good point. If you don't put any license there at all, it technically does default to some sort of non-permissive license. So at first I kind of wondered why people would put something like the unlicensed there, but in fact it's because if you don't specify one, technically you kind of, it is licensed in some sort of a way. Let's see, what else did I want to get into? Okay, so this is something that I've used it in 2 or 3 of the companies that we've been at now, that I've been at, and I found it really, really useful. If anyone hasn't seen this piece of software before, it's called Whimsical. I think there's a free version of it. If there's not, it's very, very cheap, but I'm pretty sure there's a free version. And with it comes tons of templates. So for example, if you need something to do with project management, they have basically like empty ones, or they have example ones. So for example, like a business hypothesis canvas, a product design, onboarding flow. Some of them are more for like operations of business, so they're like less relevant for this hackathon. But basically, this version of this was developed by this guy. He's CTO at Icehouse Ventures and kind of an advocate for design thinking. And basically, the idea is that you have kind of the customer persona, like their wants, needs, and fears, and then on the other side you have your product, the benefits, the experience, and the features. And a little bit like Nadia was saying, it's not necessarily that you, and I guess it ties into what Rasmus was talking about as well. Sometimes you can develop a product to which there is no problem, or a solution to which there is no problem. And sometimes you can develop a product thinking that it's going to solve what your users' needs and wants and fears. You think it's going to aid them, but you're just totally off the mark. So, for example, we had one project where we started from this side. We went out and we did some like basic user research. There's some notes here on basically kind of talking about like certain vocabulary, like so get the emotional drivers of your customer. What do they want to be? What do they want to do or have? Some of their fears. So maybe they had a fear from trying a different product. In particular, we came across quite a few people who maybe had experienced bad computational design. And what I mean by that is the sort of thing where maybe there was one really, really good Grasshopper developer in an office, and they developed something. It was like spaghetti everywhere, but they knew how it worked, so it was fine. And then someone else went in there and tried to use it, and it just like broke, and it was just a horrible experience. And I think it just basically kind of turns them off of it. So even when you come along with your nice like UI, and you're just promising them that it's going to be just like the click of a few buttons, then they just don't believe you. And I think it kind of it cuts down the time that you have for them to believe and buy into what you're trying to sell, if you can't capture them within the first 5 minutes of playing around with your software. And if people have fears, then probably even less, right? So if you're targeting a group of people and you consistently find that there's a fear about X, Y, or Z, maybe you want to start with that, and you have to ensure that your product or your solution doesn't reinforce that fear upon the first, because otherwise you're just out straight away. They're not going to have. Lastly is their needs. So basically, what do they need to get done? And I think, sometimes if we come from the industry, like many of us do, we're self-educated developers that came from the building industry. We have a really good idea of what the person's problem is or the needs, but maybe we've been away from it for so long that it's changed. Maybe there's a new solution to it, and it's what you're proposing to them is not relevant anymore. So I think it's really important to go and talk to the people, talk about their needs, and try and develop kind of a questionnaire or schema that addresses all of these. Just skip the stuff on the bottom. Then if you look over the product side of things, you can map stuff out into features, benefits, and kind of the overall experience. And I think that it's, at least in my experience, it was quite important to not get too dug down on the specifics at first, because at least in one organization I was in, we developed something very, very specific. We were pretty sure that this was a problem. We had a really elegant technical solution to it. And the truth was that it was okay, that's very valid, but it's like we had no way of accessing it. Like people were just taking us on our word that this was going to work. And so we needed to basically go back and like it was like a month's work to go back and like develop that in a way that was suitable for people to interact with it in a friendly way. I think the biggest thing that I've learned like over the time is that if you're adding something to someone's workflow, then it's already kind of problematic. Like you want to basically replace something in their workflow or speed it up or take a step out. Otherwise, if you're just adding another tool, if it's another product, then it's basically more work for people and they don't want it. We already have like hundreds of tools that we need and use every day. I guess one of the things that I would say, if you have a developer or someone who is like at least reasonably good at developing on your team, once you've somewhat found out what sort of kind of product you want to develop, like you can basically make a wireframe of it. So again, in Whimsical, just as one example, you can use Adobe XD if you have an Adobe license. But otherwise, you can just make really quick prototypes here. And the nice thing about this is that it can include people on the team who are not necessarily developers. So you can just have people sketch out their idea. Can be in little boxes, can be bits of text. For example, if we try and draw a little Rhino plugin, and say, okay, someone needs to log in here. We want to have some options or some radio buttons here. And in this way, you can basically really quickly sketch out something and iterate over it. If you do this in something like Figma, which might be a little bit slower for some people to get going with, then the really nice thing is that there's actually some plugins that allow you to convert the sketch directly into the front-end code. So if you're using something like Vue or React, you can, I can try and show you guys now actually, if I still have Figma. I don't, and I'm not gonna waste the time of going to download it. But basically there's a plugin for Figma called Figma to Vue/React, I think. It's as simple as that. And basically what it allows you to do is to create like components, and then just with the press of a button you export it and you get like the whole code file. And from there it should just be a matter of hooking it up to whatever front-end framework you're using. So for those of you who like are actually gonna get into like writing some code this weekend, for example, there's for almost everything on GitHub, there's usually something like this. Just have to find the right one. View awesome. That's definitely not it. Wait, awesome view. No. I did promise you guys that I was freestyling this one, so. Why can't I find that? That's really weird. All right, let's just look at this website version of it. Here we go. It It should be here. Ecosystem. Okay, this is really annoying. Maybe this is it. Oh my god. Yes, finally. Sorry. All right. So, for example, this is if we take Vue as an example. There's this place called Vue.js/awesomeview, and you can find one of these lists for almost anything on GitHub. And it's basically a way to, given that you have whatever, 12 hours tomorrow, 12 hours, or like 16 hours tomorrow and a few hours on Sunday to get something done, then it can be a really good way to get something going from a certain starting point. So for example, if we go down to examples, these are basically like full-on example projects. So they can be clones of certain websites. So Hacker News clone with Vue.js and Vue Router. Demo to-do list, like that's the hello world of front end, right? Then you can get all the way down here. One-on-one chat app with Vue and Comet Chat. Google Keep clone with Vue and Firestore. I think what's more interesting, if you go down here to projects using Vue.js, you can find like a bunch of projects that are obviously a little bit more specific, like use case specific, but you might get lucky and it's something that's close to what you need to use. Commercial products that use it, apps and websites. And down here is, okay, I'm going to skip this library. Calendar. Integration stuff. I'm pretty sure that it wasn't here, but if you go View. Okay, I think this is probably as close to the sort of example that I'm looking for, but this is like a good starter for like overall layouts. And yeah, okay, this is actually what I was looking for, the frameworks. So for example, here you can find Vue.js 3 UI toolkit for web based on Element UI. You can find things that have component libraries using TypeScript and Tailwind. So basically, instead of going and developing everything right from scratch, it can pay off to just take one of these and then add on top of it. So what do we have? We have Vue Awesome, AEC software directory. Then we have some of this canvas. If kind of talk a little bit more about developing this out, like once you have something and you kind of then you want to go a bit further with it. Like some of the programs that I was talking about are things like this one here. So this is from the ACASA that I was part of, and they're in 10 days they have their deadline for the application for the Startup Growth Program. I think maybe the Startup Basics one is a different timeline. But the cool thing is that you only need one person from your whole team to be part of this ACASA, and the whole team can be part of the program. So for example, if you guys come up with a good idea and you want to continue it, I think why not apply for this together, for example. So for example, this one gives you, it runs over 3 months and runs 3 times a year. And they have 60 startups in Copenhagen. I think that's 60 per batch. You have access to a really, really nice workspace downtown. They have all sorts of benefits. Basically, they have like online courses from from law, from like presentation skills. They have a dedicated mentor. So I think that this is something that's really, really valuable. So there's tons of free tools out there. There's certain tools that have, let's say, kind of frameworks for you to approach solving your problem with. There's, systems out there that when you have an idea and you have a prototype, you can bring it to them and they can actually help you to turn it into a proper business. I think that's one of the ones that's a little bit valuable here as well. So this is a business model canvas. So if we kind of step away from the technical side of things for a second, this is a way to look at the kind of the value proposal, I guess, of the entire business. So, for example, it enables you to think about the key partners that you're going to have, the key activities, resources, cost structure, revenue streams, and it has some nice descriptions of all of that down here. So, for example, who are our key partners? Who are key suppliers? What do they do? What do they add to our kind of our business? What activities do we require? So, we're going to production, problem solving. It's going to be kind of a platform network that creates a revenue stream. And these are some of the characteristics that might be things you would take into a price. I always spoke about some of the hard and soft metrics earlier, but for example, like performance, customization, the price, the ability to reduce the cost for some sort of activity. I'm not going to read it all out to you guys because probably already a little bit tired. But I think with these sort of tools, this allows you to be a lot more prepared when you come in, because as soon as you go in front of someone, like one of these VCs, one of the investors, like if you don't have these basic things pinned down, they'll just tell you to come back in like a few months when you do. You can have like the best video in the world or the best presentation, but at the end of it, they want to see how you're actually going to execute it. So they want to know, like, for example, like the team. I guess it's no good to just say that we will have a CEO. It's like if you're a very technical person and you develop something cool, they want to know like have you taken any steps to like contact this person? Would they be interested? And yeah, these sort of things, I think it's basically just like in between coming up with the idea and the sketch and going and getting some funding and getting off the ground, or getting a few clients. Like they're all going to want to see this stuff, especially when you're new, when you're not proven. So yeah, I think I don't have I don't have that much experience in running startup creation workshops. So I just thought I would come and show a few of the things that I've been using recently that I found some value in, and some of the things that I've seen some people fall into recently. I know of one company who fell into this trap. They developed something really, really cool, and then they had actually basically been going around and generating money off something that they really shouldn't have been. So not only could they not go forward with it, they kind of, they had basically like earned money that they shouldn't have. So it's a few very simple things to keep in mind, but yeah, nonetheless easy to get wrong. A few other things. I'm part of Google Cloud for Startups, which I think is really, really cool. IBM have one as well, but I've used the Google one twice now, and in both times I've had a really, really good experience with it. So basically, you can get up to it should say $100,000 of your cloud fees covered. It's $200,000 if you're AI focused. So basically, you need more compute. But what's really impressive, is that they basically give you like access to cloud experts, to architects. They provide technical guidance and training. So they're specific training platforms where they usually have courses that cost like at least a few $100s each, and they just give that to you. And they'll also do at the end of the program kind of like a matchmaking thing. So they have, let's say, venture houses, like collections of investors that they have good relationships with, depending on which country you're talking about. And they can kind of put you in touch with the right people. So there's a few different ways to go about it, and a few different benefits. The start tier, that's why I say the quote-unquote 100,000, 200,000, because usually you start on this one, which is $2,000 in cloud credits. And basically this allows you to like get your MVP in place. And you can start with some of the training. And then the idea is by the end of that program, you move into the scale tier. And that's where you can access some really, really, really good things. And specifically for the AEC domain at the moment, I think one of the things that's really hot is this Inception program. I don't know if many of you have heard it, but basically same sort of thing for from NVIDIA. And the idea is that they give you the tech, they give you the expertise, but they also, I think even more so than the Google program, kind of put you in touch with venture capital. And if you're basically, I think if you're particularly successful, they kind of showcase you as well. So they get you off the ground. So you can go in and see a few of their like success stories, let's say. And what's interesting as well, given the discussion that we've had today, is that they also work on the VC side. So they've invited over time like collection of VCs who are part of this program, and so they're in an even better position to do matchmaking. So basically it's a collection of VCs who are like looking for the newest, best thing out there, and the tech suppliers who are able to give you access to things like Omniverse Enterprise, which I don't really think is out yet, but through NVIDIA Inception you have access to it. So it allows you to just access tech that isn't even accessible right now. So, free software, tools to kind of plan out your product, your consumer, the business plan. Licensing is important. Go and look for the awesome list of whatever you need. And yeah, one more thing, like let's say we have a few minutes left, but for anyone who hasn't used Firebase before, at least when I started, I was a massive fan of this. This is a way to basically get something out there, like behind Google grade security, with the. Don't tell me you're gonna. Of course. There we go. All right. So, for example, basically it allows you to, let's do a new project here. AEC. Let's create a new project. So there's a free tier that's like incredibly generous. I think you can have 1 million people access your app or resource or whatever it is. You can have like gigabytes of storage per user, and then basically if you go over any of those limits, I would say that you've done pretty well with your tool. But it's really as simple as that. It's basically a place where you can deploy apps in a number of ways. I guess like let's do a kind of demo app. Set up the hosting, register it. So like all of this is free so far, and by the end of it, we're going to have a place where we can download basically install Firebase, install this configuration into our tool, and then from there you'll be able to access either Firestore database or real-time database. You'll have authentication, so your users will have the ability to sign up with email, password, Google, Apple, GitHub. It supports everything straight out of the box. My favorite thing probably is, and that's where you have to upgrade it because you have to start paying Google Cloud money, but functions are basically ephemeral resources. Like basically if you can imagine that there's a tiny little space on a cloud computer with just one function in it, and you hit it with a request, it starts up, it computes it, sends it back, and it turns off. And I like this is just a really, really powerful way of like adding functionality to your tool, but still like for debugging purposes and for cost management purposes, like keeping everything kind of separated. So I think that's really, really nice. They have extensions which are extensive. Anything from Stripe to handle subscriptions and payments to like extended, let's say, for example, chatbots with their new Gemini API. Basically triggering emails when something happens in the Firestore. So, for example, if you build an app where you're doing like project management of architectural projects, and someone creates a new project, they have an add-on here that will just do it for you. So again, it's like allows you to put together all these bits and pieces really quickly and end up with something at the end of the day. I think we're almost out of time now, but yeah, this has been my attempt to try and show you a few of the things that I used. I think that, a lot of people either love or hate this book. I think at some points I feel like I just don't want to see it because I've read it too many times. But it's a really good read. It's basically from, if I'm not mistaken, some guys who used to be at Google they specialized in kind of workshops and kind of value creation, and he took everything that they had done as like consultants internally and externally and wrapped it up into this book. And that's where a lot of these things come from, a lot of these ideas. So yeah, that's it. There's a bunch of stuff, and if you have any questions, I'm sure you do, because I didn't do the best job of presenting it in order. Then again, just come find me over the weekend, and I can show you how to use any of these things.
So Ryan, do you mind joining me up here on the stage?
I can try. Oh. Yes.
So this whole startup journey, are you enjoying it?
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
It's tough. For example, like I've been, you end up asking yourself that many times, right? Like it's, like I said at the very start, it's really exciting, and then something happens, and it can, it can make you start to think like, what the fuck have I done? Like I left a pretty good salary to come and now be sitting here awake at night because I'm not sure about this thing at all. But I mean, you learn from it. I think, especially because I've done it before, many years ago, kind of similar concept, like a consulting basis where we then develop some tools on top of it. At the end of that, I went back into like normal job, just like a good opportunity came up. But now that I've gone back to it again, I'm actually quite happy because, you get to decide what you want to leave your mark on, right? And now that I think I made a little bit of a joke that may have been misunderstood, but contacting lawyers and accountants and stuff when you, like at the start and not when you need them, it's not because they run into any trouble or anything like that. It's just, if you go out and you speak to these people, you can get like the legal setup, the financial setup done like super easily. It's not expensive. My accountant did it for free because I play golf with him. So I owe him a few bottles of wine. But like it's been a lot easier this time around, but it's I'm still learning quite a lot.
Yeah, I've been on the journey myself once. It's 10 years ago now, and I'm slowly planning maybe to do it again. I hope that I can contact you to get some good tips and tricks, and also that it's okay that the audience will reach out to you if they want to learn a little bit more. I want to say thank you, Ryan, for your big contribution. I have some drops here, some bubbles from Champagnekælderen, a Danish innovative champagne company.
We do a Lando Norris style?
You can do it, but I recommend you to wait, because we will also have a very nice award session here. So just after a break, 5-10 minutes-ish, we will jump right back into the award session with HD Lab. And you will notice, because there will be a lot of noise and a lot of things going on down here. But before you leave us, Ryan, let's give Ryan a huge hand clap here for his big contribution. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. 5-10 minutes break. We'll be back. Check, 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 check. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the HD Lab AEC Hackathon Award Show. Please join us. So, guys, as a small gimmick, we have invited HD Lab to do this small award show. Some of you have already nominated your favorite techs, and I want you to meet HD Lab here and let you guys take it the step further. You'll be doing it together with Champagnekelleren, who is also with us today, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit about champagne as well. We also have representatives from Molly on stage. Guys, please take it away. Use the gray microphone there, please.
Thank you very much. I have a very rusty voice today, so my part will be fairly short, and then I will keel over and lie on the floor for the rest of the afternoon. Welcome to the AEC Hackathon Tech Awards. We don't see it as a HD Lab thing. We just took the initiative to this. We've been doing it since 2020 to celebrate the tech companies that are doing great work. We think that this is a great audience because the people at the hackathon, they appreciate technology, they appreciate the work that goes into it and the potential of it. And we can all here agree that technology is fantastic and it's the only savior for construction. Whereas when we leave this room and go into the real world, there's people who think there are other things that are important as well. Can you click me on here? Yeah. So we have the way we've done this is that about 6 weeks ago, we sent out to the community a survey where we asked people to nominate the companies that they thought were the best in a couple of different categories. We gathered all that together, and then we have a jury of 4 people that did the final motivation of who should win. And I'm on the jury, and so is Ole Berat from Building Smart, Molio, Contech Lab, your local library. He's like James Bond. He has a revolving license plate. So all depending on which content you... I assume he also get like 3 paychecks, but I don't know. We have James here, who's one of my good colleagues at HD Lab, who's done a lot of the work with the awards. And we brought in Søren Kajus from Dansk Industri to give us a little bit of credibility in all of this. We have the awards for today are given to us by Mikkel from Champagnekelleren. And can you tell us, Mikkel, what are we playing for today? What can you actually win?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? It's here? It's working? Okay. Yes, well, you're playing for this champagne called Veuve Olivier et Phil, called Secret de Cave, or the secret of the basement from the producer. We go back in time. This is a blend of all 3 grapes in Champagne, which is Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Meunier. But it is a secret because they kept it in the cellar since 2011 and 12, so it's a blend of those 2 years. Then it came in this bottle in 2013, and just use 2 seconds and think about what did you do in 2013. Yeah, I can't remember what I did. I can't remember what I did yesterday, but so in 2013 this came into the basement, and then last year they found it and thought, hey, let's bring it up, let's bring it into the light. So yeah, we brought it home, and now the lucky the winners will have a chance to taste this. So I hope you'll enjoy it. And it's important to say it's a champagne, so you need to drink it not in champagne glasses, but in real white wine glasses. If you should have a big white Burgundy, big white wine, you will drink it of real white wine glasses. You should do that with this champagne as well. So yeah, enjoy and thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mikkel. Yeah, so to the winners, don't spray it like it's a Formula One winning champagne. The winners also get a trophy that we made, but I think they can stick that on the mantelpiece together with all the other awards that they've won.
This one is the original prototype. It's 3D printed concrete, but it sort of got value engineered down to the 3D printed trophy, unfortunately.
It's not a matter of us not having any money. It's a matter of we thought people would appreciate the 3D printed plastic ones more. Okay, let's go. So these are the 4 awards categories that we have. We have asked about the great people of the interweb of what they thought. So the first one is most sustainable tech. We've done that for a couple of years also. Then we introduced a new category this year because we also want to be fashionable. So we put in new AI tech, and we also made it purple, which is, as everybody knows, the most important color this year. DE just got a new logo, that's purple. Then we made a category for the best design and build tech, which is stuff we use on sites and in the computers already. And then we have the favorite category, which is most nerdy company, which in other aspects I think would not be as appreciated as it is here. But here we kind of appreciate nerdy companies. We appreciate people who have passion to dive into all this stuff. Yeah. Okay. So are you ready? The first award is the most sustainable tech, and we have 3 nominees. The top 3 nominees. And we also advise you to kind of go and look at these companies if you don't know them already. But the first one was Urban Machine that got nominated from some nice people in the US. It's a startup from the Bay Area, headed by Eric Law. And they have made a robot that you can put on a construction site when you're doing demolition work that can clean out the wood, pull out the spikes and polish it down so you can have reusable wood on the site, from the site itself. So rather than driving all the demo materials off-site and then processing it there, you can process it on site. The second nominee is GSV, which is rental equipment from Denmark, the biggest in Denmark, that have done a lot with both tech to help people choose the most efficient, eco-efficient equipment to do CO2 calculations. And they also host a conference every second year called Fremtidens Byggeri, where they gather the industry, so that was part of that. The last one is the Bynatur app, which is an app to map biodiversity in cities, because there's a lot of data there that we don't have, and they've built an app that's been deployed in different environments to map what we have of biodiversity and what the changes are to build a database for the Danish city nature. Okay, so can you hold the mic? Okay, so we're getting ready. Are you ready? And the winner is GSV. Hey. We have a short interview here from when we talked to Peter. We don't have any sound on it. Hackathon Tech Awards.
Yeah, wow. That's fantastic. That's really fantastic.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Why?
Thank you.
Why do you think you won?
I think, over the last, let's say, 3-4 years, we have been really using digitalization to help our customer.
You've also built a CO2 dashboard, so if you're a user, you can see how much CO2 you will, both in your planning phase and in your execution phase.
Exactly, yeah. So we know that companies need in the future to actually report their CO2 footprint. So the last 2-3 years, we have been working on collecting data from all our machines and to develop dashboard and reports for our customers. So you can create a budget for yourself, for your construction site. You can also see what can I actually do about it. So idle time, or is there an alternative machine that you can be using instead of the one using, petrol. So
what is your vision for the future of GSV?
One of the big one right now is we are not only renting out machines, we are also renting out modules. So we are now building in IoT devices, so you can actually measure and you can control the temperature and so on. So I think our journey over the next many years will be to constantly help improving the CO2 footprint on a construction site.
We actually have some nice people from GSV here. Come up here and collect your awards. I've met them before, so I know how this goes. You get the award and you get the other one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You want to say something?
No, it was fine. That's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
He's overwhelmed. He can't speak.
So yes, next category is AI tech. I mean, as you all know, 2023 was finally the year of AI. It was very much about ChatGPT, and everybody seems to be using it. I think with this category, we also want to shed some light on all the more construction-specific stuff, all the other stuff that is going on with AI. So it's not just Gemini and ChatGPT. There are actually some cool solutions that we can use in our industry. The first one we want to the first one that has been nominated is from on the other side of the bridge, is from our Swedish neighbors. It's a what's it called? It's a computational design tool. It helps in It helps you to explore more design alternatives. It helps you to test these, evaluate it. It works well with Revit and Grasshopper and Rhino. It's in an early phase, but it looks very promising. Schema AI is a US tool. It's an American tool. It's a bit in the same domain. It also uses machine learning to make enriched BIM models, but also helps you to iterate faster through your designs, explore multiple options. The last one is BauGPT. You have to say it in German to say it right. Basically, BauGPT is it's a chatbot. It's a large language model which helps you if you ever are in the situation that you want to make a new bath in your apartment in Germany. It will help you identify all the right standards, norms, and everything you need to do that. And it not only works with bathrooms, it works with all kinds of construction-related stuff. Yes, so. And the winner is. Oh, it's me. And the winner is Finch.
Jesper, I'm thrilled to announce that you have won Best AI Tech at the AEC Hackathon Tech Awards 2024.
Thanks a lot.
So we just wanted to ask you, so why do you think you won? Why do you think people nominated you?
Yeah, I think Finch is a great company. Is always focused on making great design tool combined with powerful tech, and I think this combination use the best of both worlds: great designers and great tech.
Fantastic. And what are your next steps?
Yeah, the next big steps are to getting the tool out to even more people, a broader community, more architects all around the world, basically.
Cool. I think I also saw Jesper somewhere around here. Congratulations. Want to say something?
Yeah, very honored to get this award. Very nice to be here and see such big turnout of people here. Of course, as always, we want to thank all of our team, our investors, and our clients. We already met some of them here. We have Jan from Link over there, is one of our collaborators, and I wish you a happy hackathon this weekend. You want to say? No? Thank you.
So, next we have the Best Design and Build Tech.
Trying to get my mic placement right. You're probably wondering, what is design and build? What is this? So when we were organizing the awards, we were thinking, we're talking a lot about AI, about sustainability, but maybe there should be a category for like maturing technologies that we rely on every day. So that's what this category is for. It's the things that get our designs designed and our buildings built. So the nominees are Speckle, firstly. Speckle is a sort of open source platform for sharing mood lighting. It's an open source platform for sharing sort of different 3D geometry. It's expanded a lot over the years. There's so many different connectors now between all kinds of different AEC software. I mean, we've been struggling for decades to sort of interoperate and like manage like sort of tricky file formats and like sort of proprietary softwares. But Speckle's sort of breaking down the barriers and they're truly open source, which is very commendable, especially here at a hackathon. And yeah, a fantastic product. Next up we have TactPlan. TactPlan is a location-based management software. It's something that sort of helps you if you're sort of planning the construction of a building, if you're out on site. You use sort of systems of dependencies for each task that you complete on site, and you try to manage them in such a way that the lines become all parallel. It's kind of like a video game where you're trying to get them all to like run concurrently. And this actually, TactPlan finds that they can save, like, they can do a building like 20% faster than the competition can using these methods. So it's actually like come a long way. I think the original building to use location-based management was the Empire State Building in 1930, and they built a 100-story tower in like 13 months or so. And sort of this is like 100 years on, the kind of cohesive SaaS product for that. So fantastic product. And last but not least, we have Stuka. And when I first heard about Stuka many years ago, I thought they just made like beautiful kitchens, like really fantastic contemporary kitchens. But it's actually like so much more than that. It's like a combination of like a flexible furniture system, so you can kind of adapt it to your space much more than like another kitchen brand, let's say. And they've expanded to do like bedrooms and kitchens and bathrooms, and even kind of like they kind of lend themselves to sort of like micro-living, student housing for like singles, where you can like have the bed and like build in like storage and stuff. It's really, really clever. And it's the combination of that, but like with an inventory management system. So if you're like a big pension fund or an investment fund, you can like manage all of your different deployments of Stuka furniture in all of your buildings that you sort of own and manage. So really, really impressive stuff. So a real competitive award, I would say. All right, guys, so can we get... And the winner of Best Design and Build Tech 2024 is... Speckle! Woo!
You're nominated for one of the categories, and we're actually so kind we only took the meeting with you because you won. So, yeah. So congratulations. Nice. We have one of these waiting for you in Copenhagen Friday.
We were wondering, what do you think of the unique features of Speckle that set it apart from the competition?
Probably our community that loves us, and that we, give our hearts and our minds towards.
And I think also, in a way, our mission, right? We are not just developing cool technology, we have a mission to radically transform the AEC industry for the better. And, that's what motivates us to do anything that we do. And I think people who voted for us, they see it in Speckle, they see, our mission, our plans for the future. And yeah, that's probably why they voted for us.
What is your vision for the future of Speckle? I know that a lot of people are building apps with Speckle now, and what's the potential there?
Well, besides world domination, we can...
Correct answer, by the way.
Yes. We believe in a world where essentially 3D data and buildings data can exist on top of free and open source infrastructure. And this is what we've set out to build and to deliver to the industry.
All right. And I think we actually have Benjamin from Speckle here, ready to accept the award. Here you go, sir.
Beautiful.
And Benjamin's actually going to be here for the next couple hours and can advise you on using Speckle in your hack. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say, that we hope to see people use Speckle for the hackathon. It's a very hackable platform. Like, if you don't already know it, you can use one of the more than 25 connectors to extract data from all the popular AEC tools and basically do anything with that data, and it's open source. So a lot of features of Speckle have actually been born at hackathons, so it's like it's a big part of the Speckle community. And if you have any questions during the hackathon, you can go to speckle.community and ask questions. The team is very responsive, so please do that. And thank you for the award.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Søren, and I am responsible for the last competition, the most nerdy company. And I'm told this is a new category. No, it's not. The second. You won it? Oh, but this year is something special. What is a nerdy company? In this competition, we define it as a company that use new technology as a pivotal part of their identity, company's identity, and their business development. And we have 3 nominees. Is it the middle one? Pooh. And the first is Cobot, the next is SiteHop, and the third one is Teknologisk Institut. If you are Dane, you know these companies are very different, but they all share that they use new technology as part of their business development. Cobot is a 3D printing company that they offer the robots and the automation system for the customers or their clients to build 3D constructions. SiteHop is a special company as well. Cobot is born globally, and they have solutions and buildings all over the globe, actually, in Europe, US, Africa, Asia, all over. SiteHop is currently only in Denmark. There's is actually a company that provides a caretaker function on construction sites. They take care of all the materials and waste on the construction sites. And they are also a software company because they keep tracking all the data from cradle to cradle. And that's very important to live up to all the regulations, especially here in Denmark. And Teknologisk Institut is a completely different company. It's 117 years old, so very, very old, especially in around you guys. And there's a non-profit organization or company, but they is approved what we call a GTS in Denmark, but they shares what in English I need just to find is called Approved Technological Service Institute. And they provide knowledge and innovation to the market. So these are the 3 nominees. And are we prepared to find out who's won? It is Cobot. And we have prepared a little interview with Milo Sisevich from Cobot, and I think we would play it here.
Cobot just won the AEC Hackathon Tech Award for Most Nerdy Company.
Hey guys, thank you very much. So in essence, being nerdy for us, it's more about embracing our passion for detail, our love for innovation, and the curiosity that we're doing in our work.
What do you think sets you apart from other companies right now? What is your unique features?
So we always take care of the customer first. So in essence, we always trying to reach a solution before they even try to tell us they have a problem with it. So in that essence, we always trying to let's say, take an approach of having a very high customer service minded. And second of all, if we were to look about, let's say, specific our technology and the competitors that is outside, we are miles away in where the technology is today. We are pretty much one of the only companies that can actually do 3D construction printers, where you can actually print with real concrete contra, let's say, mortar now these days.
Fantastic. And what is your vision for the future of Cobot?
So the vision for Cobot in the future, I would say, is, of course, we have the Bot 2 that is on the market right now, which is the most sold 3D construction printers. But where we envision ourselves is, let's say, creating more, let's say, multifunctional construction machines, right? Nothing stops us at putting, let's say, an extra axis on the printer, where you could, in essence, install a robotic arm that could, let's say, place reinforcements, paint walls, and etc. So in essence, what we're trying to do is automate as much as we can. So I see that as where the future is probably going.
Perfect. I've been told that Milos is in the building. Is that correct? Hi, Milo. Welcome here. And here you can see the robotics up here. So thank you very much and congratulations. And here's your award. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, of course. Thank you to, of course, the nominees and everybody who voted for us. And other than that, enjoy the rest of your hackathon, I guess.
That's okay. Thank you very much. And Nils, I think this is the end of the award show, or what?
It's pretty close.
Okay. No, yeah, but we'll have a special.
Yeah. So a couple of companies didn't make the cut all the way to the nominations, but we wanted to give them a shout out, at least for you to go Google them and look at some of the work that's been done there. So there are 4 companies that almost made it into the categories that we wanted to give an honorable mention. No champagne, no awards, but still. So LCAX, they are building a platform that you can use to exchange LCA and EPD information on. So today we send it in spreadsheets and in PDFs, and they're trying to build a mill in the middle where we can push that information back and forth, which will help us a lot, I think, in exchanging that information faster. Property AI is a Danish startup that works with AI for property management and maintenance. They're launching just about now, but I've been working for a while. Then there's Cesium that I think you should definitely look at if you work on construction sites. They have a tool where you can gather live information, 3D models, laser scans, production information, and build in a browser, build an overview of what's going on your construction site and do measures of cotton fill and all that stuff. Very cool stuff. And then there's That Open Company, which is a revolutionary wing of the construction industry. They're trying to build a platform and a community around open source tools for construction, for BIM, for planning, and for design and all that. So they're very interesting people to look up. Yeah. So check them out. Go Google them. Give them some love or give them some great ideas if you have something.
Thank you, HD Lab, and thank you, judges. Thank you, jury. James, Mikkel, thanks a lot. Before we wrap this up, I just want to say that we will have a break now for 1 hour before we go into the main event. So make sure to do those connections and make sure to reach out to the jury and to all of the awesome text that we just experienced here on the screen. I'm very happy that we had this award show going on. It's a fun gimmick, but I think that we should definitely do it again. And I like your trophy there. It's super cool.
We'll leave that one behind.
Please do so. And before you leave the stage, Mikkel, I know there is 1 extra bottle in that box. Can I award that to the most awesome award show producers, HD Lab? And also, let's give a...
Keep it here and open it Sunday.
Please do that. And also, Mikkel, thank you for your contribution. Thank you, guys. Make sure to do those connections and make one quick remark. Make sure to register. So if you haven't got your tag and you're planning on staying the whole weekend, please go to the entrance and get your tag and register your ticket up there. So that's all for me. Thank you, guys. See you 6 o'clock.
you.